Hello and welcome to another edition of the NRS Insights podcast. I'm John Lovestock, and I am joined again today by Susie Silliman, the Senior Vice President of Data Strategy and Sales at NRS, and Brandon Thurber, the Vice President of Data Sales and Client Success at National Retail Solutions. So today we'll be discussing the NRS Insights Same Store Sales Report for April of 2024. And for those of you who don't know, NRS has expansive reach in retail. The NRS network has now surpassed 30,000 terminals and has more than 30,300 active terminals, serving approximately 26,000 stores in retail units, including convenience stores, bodegas, liquor stores, grocers, and many, many others. So, hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Doing well, John.
Good, good.
Can you believe another month has passed so quickly?
You know, I look forward to all of this. This is like the highlight of my month. So
I'm sorry.
It feels like we do these weeks apart, but they're actually full months.
Well, there's a lot going on. The good news is got a chance to look over some of the numbers, and it looks like April was again a solid month for our stores with a 2.5% increase in same store sales. And for the 3 months ending in April 30th, that there was another solid almost 4% same store sales increase. So combined with the average number of items and transactions per store was also up. It seems like our stores, our members, or not members, but our retailers are doing pretty well. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think as long as we continue to talk about this and continue to say that our traffic is up, trips are up, consumers continue to choose small format independent retail as a preference, and then our stores will continue to do well because you have more people in these stores buying more products, spending more money. So that helps the year-over-year sales comparisons.
Okay. Now, in terms of specific categories, now, do we want to jump right into categories, or Susie, did you want to add some context in terms of the dates?
Sure, John. So if you recall, and for the audience that listened to our last month podcast, our March of 2024 results, in terms of the comparison over the 2023 period, we had called out that the Easter holiday fell in March of 2024, but was April of 2023. So while we had a super strong month in March of 2024, it did not include the holiday, the Easter holiday, in that comp period. The Easter holiday, being that it was in April of 2023, is now in our comp period for April 2024 versus April 2023. So, as you notice, the percent change versus year ago is slightly down versus last month. However, when you look at that 3-month number, that's where you see that increase, right? Because that 3-month number is consistent in terms of same store sales, being that Easter was reflected in that 3-month window for both the 2024 month or 2024 time period and the same store sales for 2023. So just calling out again that there was that difference in the comparison period for 2023 of where Easter fell. So then when that sort of trickles down to the category level, we're seeing a byproduct of that show through some of the sales trends and sales results. For example, staples, right? Your baking products, eggs, dairy products, etc., that saw a nice lift in March of 2024. Those are down versus April of 2023, likely and largely because of that shift in the holiday period.
Okay.
We continue to see some categories on trend, right? We've talked about some of this performance on a monthly basis. Smokeless tobacco being driven by nicotine pouches, the increase in popularity of prepared and wine-based cocktails. We've talked about what was going on with the confectionery category, the chocolate and non-chocolate, in terms of the cost of raw materials, and then the inflationary pressures of price increases, et cetera, really impacting sales. And we saw that again through the sales figures for April of 2024. There were a couple of specific things that stood out. One is from a bevel, or from a non-alcoholic beverage perspective, it was sort of a flat month. When you drill into those categories, energy drinks, flat month. We've seen this for a few consecutive months, which is interesting, right? For years, we've seen that on the rise. There are new dynamics in the market right now that seem to be impacting that. Also, sports drinks, right? Sports drinks definitely took a hit. And we're seeing a relationship between sales decreases with sports drinks and increases in performance nutrition shakes.
That's interesting. I saw that. I was going to bring that up. Then it was not just a modest decline on sports drinks. It looked like it was a double digit.
It's double digit, yeah.
So what are these nutritional sports drinks? Are these milk based? Are these those chocolate vanilla type shakes?
Brandon, do you want to address this? I know you drilled into that.
Yeah, the performance shakes are kind of an on the go, more nutritional product, higher in protein, but they do have that kind of milk type consistency.
Okay. I'm trying to usually the spring is a big time for athletics and kids and sports. You would think sales of these sports drinks would be going up. Is there any indication that they're not drinking these shakes anymore, or these sports drinks anymore? Are they buying them in different locations? Is any
So I think that one of the things that is going to be interesting that may we might have some visibility on next month is there were a few key disruptors in the market, sort of viral trends right around this time last year that might have made comps pretty tough. And since the popularity of those have leveled down or leveled off and gotten more consistent, what we'll take a look at is kind of that 2-year trend or 3-year trend versus just current versus year ago. So that's an early speculation, but we need a little bit more data on that to take a look.
Right. And John, the other thing that we noticed for a couple of categories, another category that had a really soft April was the ice cream and frozen novelties categories. And when we sort of peeled back the onion there and drilled into, is this nationwide? Are there particular markets where we're seeing more exaggerated declines? What we saw on the non-alcoholic beverages and ice cream / novelties is the markets that had sort of record-breaking wet Aprils suffered the greatest declines. And actually there were markets that were not impacted by undesirable weather patterns, where in both of those categories or super categories, both the frozen novelties and ice cream, as well as the non-alcoholic beverages, we saw the typical increases. So weather definitely factored into consumer buying habits in those categories. And you bring up spring sports, et cetera. If those sports activities are being canceled because of weather, because of flooding, because of storms, etc., then that transaction opportunity or buying opportunity also is being canceled.
Okay, understood. Any other categories? Now, we've touched quite a bit on the alternatives or the alcoholic beverages. There's new categories with these mixers and vodkas and lemonades. Those continue to do very well. Any insight on beer? How is beer holding up?
So beer is kind of flat, just like everything else. We are seeing a bit of a softening in the F&B cider segment of that as well. On the flip side, in the spirits, tequila is still leading the charge from a fastest growing perspective, but not the double-digit growth that we've seen in the last 18 months. So it'll be interesting to see in May, Cinco de Mayo, and the summer season kicking off, what it will do with any of these products.
And Mother's Day, right? That's a great Mother's Day gift. 12-pack of vodka with a tequila chaser. That's pretty much what every mother wants. So the trend for overall for alcohol, I thought we'd see a downturn since COVID, right? People started drinking a lot more. We've talked about this ad nauseum, right? I don't want to bring it up, but it seems that it kind of created these new trends, and that alcohol sales are still very strong in this country, because on premise, you guys don't cover the on premise, but I've gotten to see some of the I think they were Nielsen numbers. I mean, bar sales are through the roof right now, and it's carrying over to retail.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of different topics out there that are thought to be headwinds, right? Gen Z, eligible drinking age Gen Z consumers aren't drinking nearly as much as the previous generations. And yes, on-premise is doing well. But from an independent, small format retailer, we still see strong numbers. And part of that is, I won't use, it's not immediate consumption, but it's a need state of making a purchase, whether it's 2 or 3 24-ounce cans, or a 4-pack or a 6-pack, to kind of have with some regularity. That's where our retailers are strongest.
NACS changed that definition years ago. They used to say immediate consumption, but then being sensitive of the alcohol purchases, they changed the wording to consumed within like 20 minutes of purchase. So, the average woman takes 20 minutes to get home, or whatever it is. So understood. Point well taken, Brandon. And then I just did want to touch on the smokeless trend. That doesn't include vape, right? Do we ever, one month I would like to dive into vape and kind of get a little bit of a deep dive on what you guys are seeing in vape right now, because in speaking with some friends at RJR, and they are really bullish on vape, and vape seems to be a category that continues to grow despite enormous external pressure from, local politicians, federal legislation, etc. We can do that.
So one thing that we'll highlight, we won't get into the numbers, we can cover that at a different time, but NRS is uniquely positioned to track anything with a UPC, based on the way that our data is structured, and the way that we capture things. So we have some of the most broad and comprehensive coverage of that category. So that's across the board. And we have a number of vape shops that prefer our point of sale solution. So just something to highlight there.
Great. We could do a total deep dive.
We could.
On that category. I think that would be of particular value to your retailers.
And the proliferation of UPCs, the sheer number of UPCs that are available in the vape category still blow my mind. There was, I think there was a point a few years ago where there was significant compression, and with a lot of the different legislations, you would expect to see, again, significant compression, rationalization, but we continue to see on a regular basis just a extreme number of UPCs that are selling in our stores in the vape category.
Yeah, with that legislation, was it every UPC had to have an application and a license, and the price was exorbitant. So if you had 50 UPCs, you had to apply for 50 different applications. So that led to some serious compression several years ago. And like the category always does, it survived, and sales are humming along. All right,
Yep.
so good stuff. Any other anomalies, any other thing jump out at you that you guys want to mention?
No, from my perspective.
Good. All right, so Brandon, tell everyone, where can they get this report again?
So this is the NRS Same Store Sales Report. It's a press release that goes out every month. Yahoo Finance usually picks it up, but you can also go to our parent company's website, idt.net, under press releases and find it there.
Excellent. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Susie. So for Brandon and Susie, I'm John Lovestock. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you will tune in next month when we get a little more information on May numbers, Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, and how those affected key categories. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good afternoon, everyone.